Welcome to another episode of the What's the Point podcast, a unique show about men and their mental health. There are no doctors, no professionals, just real men talking about real stuff. And now, the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point.
Hey, so good to be in studio. Episode 49.
Yep.
Wow. One before 50.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to do math there.
Yeah.
That's quick. That's hard. Guys, so good to have everybody here. We got Mark Wick. We got Andy Miller. Go ahead, Mark.
Good to see you back.
Nice.
We missed you on the last one.
I know. I was out. Where was I? Was I celebrating a graduation? Was that last Friday you did this, or when did you?
Two
Fridays ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be back. I'm super excited to be here.
We had a great time, but
yeah.
Good to be back.
No Bill today. Bill's got jury duty and HVAC issues.
Oh yeah, two fun things.
He is wrestling with two issues, so we'll miss him. But we have a wonderful guest. We have Andy Miller with us today. Great to have you, Andy.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
You bet. As Mark Wick said to you, you have no idea what you're in for. So we should start getting like a seatbelt for this part of the couch, so
they can't leave.
They can buckle in
and not leave.
Yeah, not leave.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
How are you, Wick?
I'm doing good. It's busy time of year, but it's all good.
Yeah.
I got no complaints. Just happy to be here.
It is Christmas time.
Yep.
I have to make an acknowledgement real quick, and it's not a great thing, but a very important person to FaceIt, Pete Qualley, who has been on our board from the very beginning, was integral in helping us build our website and all our IT infrastructure. A very dear friend of mine is in hospice. And Pete is, let's see, I'll be 59. I think Pete's probably 56, 57. So I just wanted to give a quick nod out to my dear friend Pete. And there's so many people that have helped FaceIt become what it is, and we often don't get to talk about those folks. So I just want to put that out to the universe that I'm thinking about him and his family. So
yeah, that's tough.
Hard time of year, obviously.
Hard time of year for a lot of people, and then when you get in hospice, and again, it's having had family members that have been there.
Yeah.
It's those caregivers are pretty special people.
Amen.
Those people that work in the hospice.
It's incredible. My dear friend Michelle, Pete's wife, I got to spend a couple hours with her and Pete yesterday, just the three of us, as Pete was in the hospital bed, and she said, oh, these hospice nurses are angels. And then she said, oh, actually, I got corrected on that. They're lionesses, which is, I loved that, because they are incredible people.
Yeah.
Amen to that. So,
for
sure. But anyway, thank you guys for letting me bring that up. Yeah. So, Wick, I heard you have a question for us.
Well, Andy, how are you doing? I got to ask Andy,
Andy,
producer
sorry.
back there. How are you doing, and how are things? Because I don't know when this will air, but we're right before the Christmas break here, so I'm guessing, with two young kids, it's kind of a crazy time of year. Plus, you'll have them home for the next 2 weeks, I'm guessing.
Yeah, just about. And I had to replace the wax ring under my toilet last night. That took a while. That was very pleasant. So I don't know what, if I can make it, I don't know what Bill's excuse is. But
what do our toilets have?
Wax ring.
You've never replaced a toilet?
Not once.
So you got the drain and you got the toilet.
Yeah.
Between the two, ring of wax. Because wax is a good, sealant.
Wow.
Yep.
My father was an electrician, Navy guy, electrician, fix everything. My older brother didn't get much of it. My middle brother can fix and build anything. And by the time I rolled around, I think my old man was like, yeah, that kid's lost. I'm not worried about trying to teach him anything. So I can't fix shit.
My dad was, my grandfather was an electrician.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and a fun fact that he did, I don't know if your dad ever did this, but they had bears, lived up in the Duluth area, Hermantown area. They had bears getting the garbage can. We had the old steel garbage cans back then.
Yeah.
So he hot-wired the garbage can.
Come on.
Hooked her up.
Wired it up to mains.
Boom.
Enough to give him a little.
Oh, yeah. Now, just for the record, if you do that,
that's a booby trap.
You should have told Grandma that it was wired up, because Grandma got zapped by the garbage can taking the garbage out. So that was another issue. But anyways.
God, I wish I'd have met your grandpa.
Oh, yeah. Anyways. So, I got a question.
All right.
I had a few questions, but I thought of this one because I was checking before I got here. I did not win, but tomorrow night, I think, $1.5 billion Powerball.
Yep.
Wow.
$685 million cash take home.
Just payout, just straight
cash,
homie.
Okay.
Yep.
What's the first thing you're buying?
Cabin. I mean, it would take some thought and effort, but cabin. Yep, cabin. I mean, I would probably pay off my kids' loans, the student loans, and do all that good, happy stuff. But
the first
big splurge.
Just
Cabin, no question. Cabin. How about you,
Andy?
One of those really expensive bottles of water, not the cheap stuff.
Like the $4 one?
Exactly. Yeah, $4.
Fuji?
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You live on the edge, man.
I don't know. I think for the vast majority of people, the answer is going to be pay off debts and then think about it. Because, everyone's got a mortgage or a car payment or whatever, and it's just, you don't want to have those things hanging over you. But after that, I mean, I really don't know. I don't know. Do they make robots that can, tell kids to quiet down?
No.
No, because...
No, they're called nannies.
Yeah.
Well, or you can get a big enough house where you don't hear them.
There you go.
There you go.
You can send your kids to my cabin because the thing could be about 40,000 square feet.
You have one wing for each child?
Yeah.
There you go. That'll work.
How about you, Andy Miller? What would you?
First, I would pay the state of Minnesota to re-up my attorney license.
Okay.
And then I would go hire an attorney myself.
But what would you buy?
That cabin sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
I'd be buying it for my wife. She's always wanted one.
Where would the cabin be?
Way north. Grand Marais, Ely, way up there, That, and simple. Really, truly, it would be simple. It'd be probably 1,400 square feet, and it would be brand new, so everything worked, no leaky roof, none of that stuff.
But you're not going to buy an old crappy cabin with your $600 million?
It would be a simple place because we're simple people. And I do have to say, I have this dear friend of mine, Dan Chirilla. He and his wife Lisa have been inviting us up to their cabin forever. And this poor guy always buys just the shittiest frickin' boats and the motors that are always breaking down. And I've always told him, if I ever win the lottery, buddy, look out on your driveway because there is going to be a boat for you. So
floating boat.
Yeah. How about you?
What? Well, cabin was my first one.
Yeah.
The second one would be, because I've always joked about this with my wife, and the cabin, I mean, it's not for her because I would love being on the water and out in the woods and privacy and stuff. But 68 red Mustang convertible.
Oh, nice.
Because I told her once I saw one when we were first married, for sale sign. I'm like, God, I almost bought that for you.
Yeah.
Right? But back then, right, it was like $6,000.
Yeah,
who could afford that, right? And I've always joked about that. So
and those are those. It'd be one of those rag tops I met, right? That I can picture them. I can picture them, old body style.
Yep. But the red Mustang convertible, 68
red Mustang.
Yep.
I love that.
I'd like to amend my.
Yeah, feel free.
Well,
I mean, you get a chance to think about it. Yeah.
You can buy a couple things with $680 million.
Can you imagine?
I wouldn't want to buy the cabin. I'd want to buy the land to then build the cabin.
Got it.
Because I don't want to buy someone else's problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So I'd buy the land on the lake.
Oh yeah.
By the lake too? Why not?
Oh, on the lake. Yes.
If I had $680 million
the lake,
I have no doubt I would get, I don't know, $100,000 in cash and just drive around and just give people money. I think that would just be a hoot. Just hand them a $1,000 bill. I would do that. That would be so fun just to give that money away. That's a lot of freaking money when you start really giving that thought.
I would go find CEOs of companies who are only worth $100 million and be like, "Oh, you poor thing. Do you need to?
Here's $100.
Do you need some extra cash for the weekend?"
Take it anonymously.
You're supposed to. I mean, aren't you
Absolutely.
told
Are you
to
kidding me?
set up an LLC and do all sorts of crazy stuff?
Some states you can't.
That's true. You have to go for the picture and the photo.
You have to go for the picture and all that.
Yeah.
But and again, we talk about that, but we also know that it doesn't solve all the problems.
Oh gosh, no.
In fact, it creates a
Probably
lot of different
could create
ones
a lot.
because all of a sudden you get a lot of friends. You got a lot of people
and
that
family
need
members
things.
too.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, family members, friends. Everybody that needs something, and really they do. But what?
Maybe
the first thing you do before you even go claim that money is go get the lawyer and the accountant.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you don't show up; they show up.
Yep.
Yeah. Wild. I love that question.
I guess
though.
episode 50. Maybe
We'll
we'll
be talking
that.
about where my new cabin is.
There you go.
My wife, who's a nurse, in her clinic, whenever it gets, I don't know what the threshold is, but all of a sudden she's like, I need $4 because we're in on the Powerball.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll win. If I win, I am on record saying, Andy Bernard, you get $1 million.
Wow.
Andy Miller, you get $1 million. You get $1,050,000 so you can buy that red convertible.
Okay. Wow, what a guy.
What about Deckus? I mean, we cut him in for $1 million.
He's not even here. He's not here. Yeah. He's like the guy who didn't go in on the office pool and misses out. Mm-hmm. But then what we could do is pool 50.
We could start a GoFundMe for him.
Yeah,
I think.
pool 20% of the funds that
get his furnace up and running.
For him.
Yeah, here's your
He'll
new furnace.
But he'll probably write a book from jury duty.
Yeah.
Have a movie and make millions.
Yeah, make millions.
So I got that too. All right.
I love that question. It's a good one. Well, hey, we got a great episode in store. Andy, I'm super excited to hear your story, and we'll dive right in just a moment.
At Brand Inc., we know your business's reputation rides on every detail, especially when it's on the road. Our commercial vehicle wraps combine eye-catching design, 3M-backed installation, and a seamless process built for busy teams. Whether it's one truck or an entire fleet, we help you turn heads, build trust, and grow your business. Your vehicles are always moving. Make sure your brand moves with them. Start your project at brandinc.com. That's Inc with a K, brandinc.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meier, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
Well, I'm still contemplating what I'm going to spend my $685 million on. I would buy a new pickleball paddle, too. I did get a new one recently, and actually, you were such a big part of that. You gave me a gift. I am so hard on pickleball paddles. It is really quite sad that mine looks like it's about 10 years old. And I brought it home, and I said to my wife, I need a new pickleball paddle. She goes, you literally got one 3 weeks ago. I said, look at it. Yeah, so whatever. Whatever. We'll talk about that in our therapy session,
Yeah,
Wick.
okay.
All right, so back to bigger issues at hand, which is to chat with our guest today, Andy, who came to FaceIt maybe a couple years ago, about 2 years ago, and has just been a guy that has dug in and helped the organization in so many ways. You've helped raise money, you've helped raise awareness, now you help leading a group, and you've come with eyes wide open. I think you've been on a hell of a journey even within FaceIt and how things have come and you've changed and learned and grown. So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us, first of all, some of the practical stuff about who Andy is and who your family is and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and with my mom, my dad, and I have a younger brother. Lived in Northbrook, Glenview, Illinois. I grew up playing hockey and tennis, and sports was always a huge part of my life.
Would you say tennis was a harder game than hockey?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
100%. Individual versus team.
Nobody there to carry you, tell you how to. Yeah, you're kind of on your own. And anyway, sorry.
No, that's okay. We could analogize sports to name any other
every
topic
part of life,
and it would be accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, I grew up in a suburban, upper middle class home where I wanted for nothing. My parents worked very hard to provide a wonderful upbringing for myself, for my brother, and it set me on a path for college, for law school, and really enabled me in a lot of ways to get where I am today.
Yeah. Who else is in your life today?
So my wife Natalie.
Wonderful human being.
Yeah. Luckily, Mark and Amy have gotten a chance to know Natalie. And,
yep.
And I have 3 amazing boys. Jack is almost 18, which that makes me old.
Yeah.
And Charlie is
still younger than Deckus.
Still younger. Well, I think the good thing is I'll always be younger than him.
That's true.
And
way
you.
younger
That's
than
true.
me.
And you.
Okay, that was a good episode. All right.
need a nap.
I'm turning 40 next year, and sometimes I like to just bring that up in front of my parents just because it makes them feel extra old, having a 40-year-old son.
Is Wick kind of your parents' age? Andy?
My son's
30. How old's your oldest?
37.
37.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. Just about, huh?
All right.
So Jack is my oldest. Charlie is my middle. He'll be 15, and my little guy is Max, who's in first grade. He's 7.
Got a gap.
Yeah.
Got a gap.
I got a 4-year-old at home, so pretty close.
Yeah.
So, So you got a lot of people in your life, for sure. A lot going on with family and a lot going on with aging parents. I know we've talked. Your father's been having some health struggles. As you know, we've certainly talked about that on this show. You know, so in this segment, we like to talk about what this experience of depression, anxiety, what it's been like for you. And you know, we don't have enough time to really dive into as deep as I'd love to go with some of this stuff. But when you think about this journey, let's call it the depression journey, the mental health journey. I love when Mark talks about we all have mental health, right? What stands out? What were the challenges? What were some of the the barriers? And when I say barriers, I mean the things to living a happy, productive, satisfied, content life. What's this been like for you?
Yeah. So I started, I would say, my mental health journey at a young age. I was in therapy with a child psychologist probably from elementary school on. And at that time, I didn't understand really why I was going to see this doctor who happened to be a nice guy, and I got to have a pop and some cookies when I sat on the couch.
Yep.
That's what Wick's clients say about him.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the only reason why they show up. So.
Absolutely. You got that right. Absolutely.
He was a nice guy, talked about some things, but honestly, I remember the pop and the cookies the most.
How did you end up? I mean, clearly that was at your parents' behest that you do this. Do you recall? I mean, they ever talked to you about why we thought this was important to send you there? Or this is kind of new to me, and I feel like I know you fairly well. So,
So I did a lot of lick lipping, or lip licking. Sometimes it's backwards. Biting my nails, hair pulling.
Oh, so we share that stuff in common.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that was, it was painful for me.
Yeah.
I think it was also painful for my parents.
Yeah.
And I think that the thought was, let's see if Andy can talk about this and maybe get some help.
So they were, I want to be careful here, but I mean, they were fairly attuned to this issue. Got it.
Yeah. And I think that there was some attunement. I also think there was some, what does this mean outwardly?
Sure, fair. Yep.
And for our family, or how does this appear?
What does it look like? Yeah.
So for those of us who are perhaps clueless about this sort of thing, nail biting, hair pulling, that would be anxiety, I'm assuming.
Generally, I mean, hair pulling, it's called trichotillomania, and I had it bad. I pulled my hair out in 4th grade until I had a huge bald spot. I mean, it's certainly an anxiety response, and the lip licking, I've not heard
you
that.
got it right.
But, I mean, I think a lot of people say, I bite my nails. Well, there's probably a reason we bite our nails, right? And whether it's elevated to whatever level of pathology that is, it's not a normal habit per se. So I don't know. What do you think, Wick?
No, I mean I think all of those things.
Yeah.
That they're triggered by something.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what else? So you had that in childhood. What else has been part of this journey?
Yeah.
I know you've got a story.
I would say that I was a really good student. Athletically, I always performed, and whether it was tennis or hockey or rankings or getting a hat trick, whatever it was. Expectations were very high, and when I felt like, whether this was reality or imagined, that I didn't meet those expectations, I'd failed.
Yeah.
And that had a large impact on me as a kid, where I was already coming into that whole arena as someone who was very sensitive, had a lot of emotion, didn't know how to express it in a healthy way, what to do with it. So I think a lot of that did come out in biting my nails, licking my lips, pulling my hair, because what was I going to do with that? And at the same time, felt like I was failing. I wasn't good enough. What if I didn't score the goal? What if I was left out for 3 shifts in a row and didn't do something positive? How would that reflect upon the team, my family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. Mark Wick, I'm curious. Do you ever frame yourself up as an overly sensitive, emotional? I'm curious. When you were young, I just have not heard you talk about that.
Worried about others.
Yeah.
Taking care of others.
Yeah.
Take everything that's said to heart.
Yeah.
Very personal. Type stuff.
What do you make of that? I mean, I do that all the time still. I try not to, but it's part of who we are. Is it our makeup? Is it a shame? What is it? What do you think, Mark?
I think it's the maybe not getting the validations from the people that we needed to get them from.
Back in the day.
Yep, back in the day. Not hearing it from the ones that we were really trying to hear that from.
Yeah.
That, good job, I'm proud of you, you're doing great, type of stuff.
Well, I'll say this as the parent of a 4-year-old, and you, Andy, might have noticed something very similar. So when I was a young child, apparently I was a bit of a handful, extremely emotional, angry all the time, didn't really get along with other kids, that sort of thing. Standard, overly emotional child. I now have a 4-year-old son, and you could put his name in place of my name in any story that my mom has ever told about me and have it be completely identical, despite the fact that we knew that this might be a possibility, and we have done everything we can. I mean, we read the blogs and we subscribe to the podcasts and we do all the things that you're supposed to do that makes it different than the way our parents raised us and so forth. And it really doesn't seem to change that much. And I think for a lot of kids, and I think especially for me and my son, I think a lot of it is just innate. It's just part of who we are. So... And I do think a lot of that sort of thing is, your parents are never home. They never look at you. You eat dinner with each other and then you just go about your business. You're going to get complexes from that. But I think it's also entirely possible to just, be a very emotional person. And when you're an emotional kid, that doesn't tend to manifest positively.
I think there's probably a lot in there. I think there's a lot in there.
And so, have you noticed your children having similar issues to you?
So that's a great question and timely, because honestly, just this week, I was thinking about. I was in a therapy session, and what came up was a picture of me, one of my handful of childhood memories that I can picture in my mind. Was a picture of me standing in my driveway. I was probably 6 or 7 years old with a Chicago Cubs batting helmet on. And the face that I have in that photo was identical to my 7-year-old's face when I was looking at him tell me that he didn't want to go to school today because he was fill in the blank. He couldn't verbalize what he was feeling, but his face was identical to the face in that photograph of me at that same exact age. And I thought, for the first time, that's me.
Yep.
He's having the same exact feelings that I felt at that age.
So much of it is built into us. And I wouldn't have agreed 3 years ago. I've obviously, all negative emotions have to stem from somewhere, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not
that in group last night.
Not at all true, unfortunately.
Right. Mark, you were going to say something.
But I also think, and I talk a lot with clients about this, about your upbringing.
Yeah.
And it's never to blame parents, right? My oldest, 36, he'll be 37. 37 years, I've never been parent of the year.
Yeah.
We do the best we can. our parents did the best they could. Now, there's certain instances
Sure.
where people come from abuse and stuff. But
Well,
a lot
they
of
could have
that
done
was-
a lot damn better,
But
right?
that was always learned.
Right.
But the point is that they do have a genetic makeup.
Yeah.
So there are going to be those things. But I think it's the nature-nurture.
Yeah.
I also think that we now can be more in tuned to talk about these things with our kids, right? That we can teach them how to maybe handle these emotions different.
Absolutely.
Negative emotions are fine.
Right.
Because we're all going to have them.
Right.
But it's what do we do with them?
Yeah.
And to talk about the one thing I always wished, and I always say, I wish I would have asked more to the kids I coached and
Yeah.
the kids I raised.
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
You know, we always hear when kids, why do we have to do that? Why? Well, we should ask why. And it sounds like you did. Why don't you want to go to school today? Like, help me understand, not just, you have to go to school. Why? Because I said so.
Yep.
Right.
That
Because that's
doesn't
what we
help.
that's what we got, right?
And again,
because that's what our parents
That's what our
knew.
parents knew.
Yeah.
So, like my daughter always says, when we know better, we do better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that absolutely, we're never going to get rid of that genetic component.
Right.
But what we do with that, I think we can be much more effective with
Yeah.
our kids and be more in tune with them and have those conversations.
It is interesting you say that because we have always been very big proponents of say what you're feeling and let's find out why you're feeling that way, that sort of thing.
Yep.
But our son has always been he will be in the middle of a meltdown, he'll be crying and kicking and so forth, and we'll ask him how he's feeling, and he'll say, I'm happy. And it's like, okay, you're clearly not happy. But he has it in his head that saying anything except that he's feeling good is a bad thing. And we have never taught him that for sure. Mm-hmm. And yet he has this feeling that if I say that I'm sad, something bad will happen, or I don't know, it'll become true. Maybe it's denial, it's hard to say. But hiding your emotions is also a very ingrained human thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. Andy, what was it like, Andy Miller, what was it like for you to look at your son and have this sort of realization? Gosh, that must have been really a lot going on there.
It was a lot. As I was sitting with him in a school building with him crying. But at the same time, I thought, this is something that I can give him as a gift, that I can sit there with him.
Yes.
I can listen to him. I can cry with him.
You can empathize because you've been through it.
And I can make a different choice.
Right.
That I have the ability to choose in that moment how I'm going to react. Or not even react, but give it some space where I can make a wise choice instead of reacting. I can respond instead of react. And I feel like that's what I was able to do for him and really for myself. Like I was almost kind of healing my own inner child.
Yeah.
At the same time as I'm listening to my own son.
And Wick, that's your nurture part, right? That's the part that's...
No, it's definitely both. It's not one or the other.
Yep.
That is definitely the nurture part, because it's that reaction is... And we can't control people's perception of our reactions. However, reacting in a kind, caring, loving manner is far different than what do you have to be sad about? You need to get over it. I'll give you something to be sad about. Sort of that mindset. Well, and gosh, thank you for sharing that. And in 4 minutes, tell us the rest of your mental health history. I mean, that is the dilemma with these segments. Share some other high-level stuff or some other things you feel like you've dealt with. Or
Sure. So, I kind of shared how I went to school, went to college, I went to UW-Madison, had a generally great experience, went on to law school. I went to the University of Denver for law school. That was the path that had been laid out for me. Wasn't the path I necessarily chose, which some of your listeners might sound familiar to some folks. And I really struggled with that because it was, do I choose what I really want to do, or do I choose a different path that someone else has already laid out for me? And I, for most of my life, chose the path that other folks had laid out for me.
How'd that work for you?
I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah. But
No.
what have you learned in that? I mean, we'll get to the what have you learned stuff in the next segment. But I mean, in this time of not knowing, not following your own path, what sort of problems did that cause for you?
Yeah. So I had, in addition to the, kind of the hair pulling, the other things, I had no sense of who I was.
Yeah.
I felt like I existed to the outside world, but internally, I really didn't feel like I existed.
Yeah.
I kind of went about my day. I was, fortunately or unfortunately, smart enough.
Well, and driven, and you were a lot of things.
Driven.
Yeah. Better or worse, you were driven.
But not for reasons that I wanted to be driven towards.
Yeah.
I had this emptiness, sadness inside, where I felt like I had no say over my own existence, over my own life, and my own path, for various reasons. Societal pressure, familial history, what I should do, lots of shoulds.
Yeah.
And never really thought about, like, what do I want? What are my dreams? What do I want my life to look like? And that's how I eventually ended up feeling like I had zero control over my own life, and got to a point where I thought, maybe I'd be better off thinking about not being here. What would that look like?
Yeah. And you have the benefit of hindsight now as we sit in this couch or we sit together in this podcast. But when you think about that, so I know you did a lot of stuff to please other people, and part of that is not knowing our own values, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's clouded perhaps by this belief that we have to please other people. Yeah. When you found yourself doing things that were counter to your values, I would assume that doubled down on feeling shitty about yourself and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
for sure. There were lots of things that I chose to do that I feel like it wasn't Andy Miller choosing to do that. It was sort of, I was living other people's lives for them.
Yeah.
And I felt trapped. I didn't know how to not live for other people or live other people's idea of how I was supposed to live my life. So it was a lonely place.
Yeah, lonely. Because that discovery of what we want, we probably can't get to until we throw the blanket off of, I have to do this for everybody, right? I guess that's part of the journey.
Yep.
Well, again, I could sit and listen to you for an hour. There's so much more here. And believe it or not, Andy, that was 21 minutes. It goes fast. So we'll be right back, and Mark Wick will get to hear about the good things that have moved forward or that you've learned. So we'll be right back.
Launched in 2009, FaceIt is a Minneapolis-based nonprofit organization focused on working with men who deal with depression. Using a peer support model that leverages men's groups, mentoring, social activities like retreats, baseball games, and fishing trips, we provide more than 12,000 hours of free services to hundreds of men each year. And yes, I said free. We never charge for any of our peer support programs, and we will never ask you for a copy of your insurance card. If you're tired of feeling alone in your fight against depression, please visit us at FaceItFoundation.org or drop Mark or Bill an email at info@FaceItFoundation.org.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meier, Bill Dacus, and Mark Wick.
Well, welcome back. Geez, it's great to have you in here, Andy. And I've learned so much already.
Yeah.
And I agree, let's do this for 3 hours. But apparently somebody's got to get home to kids. And I do have this thing called a job, apparently. But I want to ask you, what brought you to FaceIt?
Yeah. So I had one friend in the Twin Cities who, from the time I moved here, I started playing hockey again. Like I moved to Minnesota, I have to start playing hockey again. So I started skating, and then I got into a men's league, and I met a guy who we just kind of hit it off right away. It turns out we share a lot in common. He was starting law school. We had kids similar ages, etc. And we struck up a relationship and kept that going for now. It's going on 21 years.
Wow.
A few years ago, and he and his wife had been kind of gone with me through marriage and divorce and children and remarriage, and so he pretty much knows me, better than most other people do. And he realized, through my being transparent with him, that I was really facing a lot of challenges, and I was suffering. And he one day over coffee said, I went to school with this guy who I think started this nonprofit, has to do with mental health, and I think it's about like men's mental health. Why don't you check it out? Gave me the guy's name, and I went to the website. Turns out it was FaceItFoundation.org, and turns out the guy was the guy sitting to my left. And my buddy and Mark were college roommates at the U. Looked at the website, ended up listening to some of the podcasts, and lo and behold, it sounded for the first time in my life like, there's at least one other guy out there who has experienced divorce and mental health challenges and unemployment and et cetera, et cetera. This is sounding really familiar. I thought I was alone. I thought I was the only guy who had ever existed in all of humanity to feel these exact feelings and experience these exact experiences. And it turns out that I'm not. I'm just a regular guy. Just a regular guy. And that was the beginning of how I eventually ended up at the FaceIt offices and joined a group.
And I ask this question all the time to guests. How did it feel that first time walking in to group?
I sat in the parking lot, and I had 99.9% convinced myself that this is not the place I needed to be. I didn't need this whatsoever. I was fine. It can't be this bad that I need to sit around with a group of guys I have never met, never talked to, and talked about things I had never talked about with anyone. I was scared. I was scared. And for some reason, I got up the courage to turn the car off, walk in the doors, and I proceeded to have this amazing experience where I, for the first time, sat around with a group of strangers who happened to be men. It wasn't in a locker room. It wasn't in, at school. And these guys proceeded to share their stories with me. And again, it sounded like, there's a guy who's been through divorce. There's a guy who's had similar challenges with employment, with mental health struggles, with the same feelings I'd felt. And then as they kind of went around the circle and it got to me, I couldn't wait to share my story. And it felt like this is where I needed to be, and this is something that I had missed out on my whole life. And I finally felt like I was being heard and seen and understood for the first time.
Well, I appreciate that because, I appreciate your honesty because a lot of people, I would say the majority of the guys feel that same way, sitting in the parking lot. The ones that come in here and say, it wasn't bad, I just walked in, I was like, bullshit.
And I don't even know, we've probably heard that once or twice, right?
Yeah, but it's like, for people out there, because I'm guessing also Mark and Bill know that there's guys that come and have that meeting.
Yeah.
And then you get them in a group.
Yeah.
And then they do sit in a parking lot and then they drive away.
They drive away.
Because it is a scary thing. Yeah. That vulnerability piece.
I ask guys all the time when they come in to meet with us before they join a group, I'm like, so when is the last time you've sat in a room with basically 10 guys, and it's not therapy, so in just an informal manner, and talked about your feelings?
Yep.
There's been a couple.
Yep.
Mostly guys who have ever been engaged in like a church group or something.
Right.
Otherwise, guys just stare at you like, what are you, nuts? Like, why would I do that? You know? So
for you, depression, anxiety, those types of things, how did they present for you?
Loneliness, withdrawal, actively wanting to run as far away as possible from, name it, my career, my relationships, myself, sadness, and eventually when I, went even further kind of down the spiral, it ended up with me not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to shower, not wanting to work, wanting to withdraw from pretty much everything. And and that's when I really got to a point where I started thinking of alternatives.
Mm-hmm. And a big part of that was as a single dad with two young boys.
Yeah.
You must have been exhausted.
Yeah, it was exhausting. It was beyond the exhaustion. It was the isolation and the disconnection.
It's the freaking worst, isn't it? The loneliness, the isolation, thinking we're on our own.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what's worked at FaceIt?
It's the connection. It's the relationships. I'd never had another. I take that back. I've had a couple of men in my life who I felt have listened to me, have taken the time to understand, or at least to just take time with me. But what the difference is at FaceIt is these guys have been through the same shit that I've been through. They understand what I'm feeling. They're willing to talk about their own experience for the benefit of me and the other guys at FaceIt. Mm-hmm. Without sharing that, there's no way I could feel okay. I felt like I was, again, the only person who's ever felt this way. So it's really the connection piece and the relationships and coming out of that kind of shadow, the isolation, where I didn't feel like I had to run. I felt safe sitting around talking about shit that I was always so afraid or shamed or fill in the blank reason why I couldn't, why I didn't feel like I could share.
How has that changed your relationship with your wife and with your kids?
So one of the things I've realized is that I have the ability to choose. Choose many things. I can choose how I want to respond to something, a challenge. I can choose the relationships I want to have. I can choose to surround myself with people who listen and hear me and see me and are kind instead of the opposite. I can also choose to tell my story and how I want to tell it. And that's one of the things that I've been able to do with my wife with my kids is share my story, because in sharing in an age-appropriate manner, I enable my kids to understand not only me, but themselves. And that's something that I wasn't provided, that I realize I can choose to do that or not. And I'm choosing to do that.
When I hear that, and I do love the age-appropriate comment, because, you know, we've got to be aware of what we're sharing with our kids. But I wonder, if you could control for all the other things our parents went through, I wonder how many of them would be so relieved if they had learned that somewhere along the line they could have said to their kid, I'm really struggling too. Because they were given the message that you have to be in charge, you have to look this way, and our poor parents were battling the same damn shit we're describing that we get to share with our kids because of new norms. I mean, I think about that, you know, my dad, and, you know, it's easy to say, oh, he had PTSD for this or that. I mean, he was in Korea. He was a war vet. But long before he ever went to Korea, his mom died when he was 3 weeks old. So he never had a mom.
Yep.
I mean, the more we... What did your daughter say? The more we know, the better we...
The more we know, the better we do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I think to your point, that age appropriate, I get that, but I don't think there's any age that's not appropriate to talk about our mental health.
Exactly.
You know,
I mean, how we do it, of course, right.
If my granddaughter, she's 3.
Yep.
If I'm not feeling good today, I have the flu, she comes over, I'm sick, you know, Papa can't play with you today, he's sick.
Doesn't feel well.
What if I'm just in a really bad spot?
Yeah.
You know, Papa can't play with you today because he's just not feeling very good today.
Yeah.
He's just kind of sad, he's kind of down.
Right.
Like,
end of story.
And honor those.
Oh,
I get, you know, I talk a lot to teams and stuff,
Yeah.
and I do camps, and some will say, well, we have, you know, squirts, or is that too early? And I'm like, no. Yeah. We still talk about
the words you use
how
and how
we feel.
you do
Right,
it.
exactly. But we can still tell that, you know, we can't say mean things to one another.
Yeah.
And if people say mean things to you, it's really going to make you feel sad. You can talk about that. It's okay. You know, in different things. But I think we get so afraid, and we see that around the suicide stuff,
Right,
where
of
we don't want
course.
to talk about it because we don't want the copycat, this and that. And I think that, you know, we never worry about talking about our physical health.
Right.
We can talk about our mental health, and again, in age-appropriate ways, right? I'm not going to, you know,
Right, of
talk about
course.
the surgery I had,
Right.
you know, to a 3-year-old, but I can say I had surgery.
Right. And I think about the gift you give your kids, Andy, and I bet even between your 2 older boys and your son Max, you know, you're so much more in tune with it dealing with Max.
Yeah.
But the gift we give our kids is that the people that, I mean, we want our parents' approval. Freud was right on. We want
100%.
that. And when we give our kids the gift of knowing that our parents aren't perfect, I think that in and of itself
It's huge.
is a huge gift.
Yep. And Mark, what you said about the context, you know, explaining to your granddaughter, Papa
Right.
doesn't feel well today,
Right.
and here's why. Then she knows.
Right.
She knows why you
Yep.
might be a little down. Otherwise, how I internalized that as a child was, there's something wrong with me.
Yes, that's what it is.
What did I do to make
That
him
person.
Not
or
wanna-
her not want to engage with me? What's wrong with me? Oh, and now I got a bad grade on the test, and now I hit the ball into the net,
Right.
and now I didn't score.
Yep.
Then what's the point?
So then I start
Yep.
pulling my hair out. I start biting my nails. I lick
Yep.
my lips incessantly. Whatever it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe it's not quite that linear.
Yeah.
But I do believe there's a
But,
massive connection there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's even like, Andy, when you talked about your kids and that emotion, they might not know what it is, because how old? 4?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, 1 and 4.
1 and 4, like, you're looking at this much of their life right now. I got this much to
Right.
compare it to with my kids.
Right.
They're
Yep.
7, right? But they're talking about their emotions.
Yeah.
Like, that's a gift that you've given them, to be able to talk about that stuff and not hide it.
Right.
Because when we don't talk about it, that sends a message also.
Oh, God,
You know,
that's a
so,
big one.
so yeah, they don't know, but what a great gift you've given them. I think about when you talk with sitting with your son,
Yeah.
not in school, like, just sitting there, what a gift.
Yeah.
Like, what did that show him?
Right.
You're there for him. You're going to protect him. It's safe.
You
It's
love
okay
him,
to feel this way.
him
I
even
love
though
you no matter what.
He
Even if you
feels
don't
out of
wanna go to
control,
school.
probably.
Yep, like
Yeah.
you're there, you're present. Like
right.
such a gift.
And I think our parents would. I can hear my parents saying, "Well, we showed up," and I get that. And showing up is huge. But when you perceive they're showing up with gritted teeth or they're ashamed
It's
of
an
what
obligation.
you're doing,
Yep.
it's different than showing up with "and I love you."
Yeah.
In our parents, again, not to blame, but a lot of times
No.
it was, well, I don't want to tell you you're doing good because then you're going to get arrogant.
Get
right?
ahead
It's
of
going to push
yourself.
you. Get ahead of yourself. You got to keep driving, right? So, like, and it was good intent, but
Yeah.
And
it
if
didn't
somebody
work.
had told me along the way that I was actually fairly smart and fairly talented and fairly this, maybe I wouldn't have spent my whole life trying to prove everybody.
Exactly.
You
Well,
know.
and what I've noticed is in opening up and telling some of the story to my kids, the fruits of that have been, my almost 18-year-old son telling me that, well, Dad, you always accept us just for who we are.
That Andy is huge.
Or my little guy saying, Dad, can you come over and sit with me for a little bit and watch the game?
You fucking kidding me? It's beautiful.
That's all. Like,
Absolutely.
It's beautiful.
I don't need anything
That's a gift
else
a lot of adults don't have.
other than that. And I know
So,
that the only
good for you.
reason why that's happening is because I'm hopefully creating that soft place to land and that safe space.
You are creating it.
Well, and I'll end this session by you are creating it because you're doing the work.
Yeah.
It's what Mark always talks about, Bill talks about. Like, we have to be invested in this, right? It doesn't happen by accident. And you've been through some things, and it's not easy. Because if it was, we'd call it basketball.
Or tennis.
Or tennis.
Or hockey.
Or hockey.
Not pickleball.
But not
Not
pickleball.
pickleball. I think pickleball might be the hardest sport
Anyways,
ever.
thank you for sharing all that, and we will be back to wrap it up. Thanks. Founded in 2006 by Josh Egner, JT Egner Construction is a trusted commercial construction company built on a passion for serving clients and building lasting partnerships. Every project is approached from the client's perspective, listening to their needs, understanding their vision, and delivering tailored solutions that align with their unique goals. JT Egner specializes in helping both for-profit and nonprofit organizations build, manage, and improve their facilities. Their expertise spans sectors like industrial sites, medical facilities, corporate headquarters, worship spaces and childcare centers, senior living communities, retail spaces, and restaurants. Whether it's ground-up construction, renovations and additions, or ongoing facility management, their mission is to partner with leadership teams to create functional and efficient spaces. Josh shares, what drives me is the joy of serving others, working as part of a team, and solving challenges. We truly love our work. We know construction can be stressful, so we value the opportunity to guide you every step of the way from the initial conception to the final completion. So for all your commercial construction needs, reach out to Josh and the team at JT Egner Construction at 952-985-0582 or online at jtegner.com.
You're listening to the What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. And now your hosts, Mark Meier, Bill Deckus, and Mark Wick.
I love the conversations we have in between while we're waiting to come back because you get to talk about all this richness of this experience. And Mark Wick, and you just asked great questions. And Andy, thank you for all you shared. And both Andys. I just told Andy Bernard I'd like to hear his voice in this more too. Andy B back there, because we got Andy M. You have a lot to share, and I like it when you chime in. So
coming into my own at 39.
Love it. Andy Miller, a guy driving down the road right now, thinking, yeah, these guys, I kind of get it, whatever. Sort of that voice when you're not really sure if you should change. What would you say to that guy?
It's in your control to make the changes that you'd like to see in your life. And while it might be hard, it will be hard. There's no doubt about it. There is light on the other side. And what's there is connection and peace And, you know, I wake up now feeling if I am neutral today, life's good. And you can get there. And it starts with connection.
And then he says, yeah, but. What's your pushback to the yeah, but?
I've been there. I understand the yeah, but. And life is filled with yeah, buts. And sometimes it's time to get beyond that. And in order to do that, it takes that first step. Whether it's waking up and drinking a glass of water every morning for a month, proving that you can do something for yourself before you take the next step and listen to a podcast, before you take the next step and walk into a room of strangers, etc.
Andy and I run a group together, and last night we were talking about this sort of spectrum of the recovery process, and you got to start somewhere, and sometimes going from here to just the next step is a year. I don't know, but you got to start somewhere. So.
And I'll ask you this: hard, like you said, worth it?
Sorry,
I'm here because of that.
And that's what two hardest things I ever did was walk in the psychiatrist's office 1st of February on a Monday, walk into a therapist's office on a Wednesday. Those are two of the best things I've done, right? It was
Absolutely.
tough. It was tough. 3 years later, 3.5, walking in to FaceIt, right? 2018, been there ever since. It's one of the best things, right? Because I would also ask, the next thing, what on the but?
Yeah.
How would you respond? Like you just said to him earlier, and you've said to other people. Okay, how's what you're doing working for you?
It's my favorite.
Like how's it working for you right now? Because it wasn't working good for me.
Yeah.
Right. And based on what you've told us and shared with us,
it doesn't look like it's working good for you.
Right.
So
And the interesting thing, so I've only been an active part of this show for like 10 episodes?
Yeah.
Something like that. I was behind the scenes.
Yeah, because you were behind the
before
scenes when we first did it.
I
You
was
weren't
never on until I think August,
it's
September,
39.
something like that.
Yeah.
session.
That's right.
And an interesting thing that I've noticed in just those 10-ish episodes is the spectrum of people that have been in. I mean,
Sure,
some people
of
come
course.
in and they're like, sometimes I got depression, a little bit, and the group helps me through that.
Yeah.
And then you got other people who are like, I've got such bad such and such that I've got to be on 5 different pills, and even that barely makes me normal. And group is what gets me through the day and that sort of thing. So it really is like, you could be anything from a 1 to a 10 on the scale of like how crippling your mental illness is, or maybe you don't even consider it mental illness. Maybe you just feel down every so often and you just need some help. But
And I would say, if I could respond to that it's 100% accurate. So we sit around every 2 weeks, and one of those sessions could be me, who needs some feedback and needs to talk about something that I'm going through. Guaranteed that next session, it'll be a different guy who needs to do the same thing, and then I will be the one to listen. And that's why we're there. That's why we're in group, and that's why it works.
And both experiences, the listener and the needer, or the speaker, the person they're both valuable.
100%.
Yeah. So this is the part of the show. What did you learn today? I'm gonna put a twist around it. Wick, what did you learn? What were you reminded of? What as you think back on the last 45, 50 minutes? What do you got?
Well, I learned a lot about Andy.
Yeah.
I met you a few times at breakfast and everything. I didn't realize we had so much in common. 1975 Duluth City 12 and under tennis runner-up. Okay.
Why have we not had that conversation?
You know what? There's a lot you don't know about me still.
You are so humble.
Yeah.
You are so humble.
I don't think you were in that tournament in 75?
I wasn't.
Oh.
No.
You weren't born. Okay.
I didn't exist yet.
Yeah, wow, easy. Okay. Yeah, I lost in the finals to a 10-year-old.
I'm sure that didn't.
0-0.
I'm sure that didn't live with you very long.
No, not that I remember that. In the hockey piece. No. It's a reminder of the importance of being there. You know, just what you've said about your kids and being there and being better and, you know, the challenges you've gone through. But I hope you realize what a gift you're giving to your kids and the impact that you're having on them. You know, even for you like Andy and Bernard, like, we don't realize it in the moment. We don't always see those things. We plant those seeds, but we don't know when they're going to take. But they definitely have. Just like I know this podcast is going to resonate with somebody, you know, and you may never know who it is. You may know who it is. They might reach out to you or whatever, but that your story is going to have an impact on other people. And the work that you've put in it is the reason that you're reaping the benefits of it. So I appreciate you sharing all that.
Thanks, Mark.
Andy B.
I learned that the Minnesotan stereotype is true because if memory serves, I think all three of you said you'd want a cabin up north if you win the lottery.
Good point.
Yeah.
And I know I'm related
folks.
to multiple people with cabins up north, so that is just a thing.
Fair. Good observation.
Yep.
I also learned, so you said that you found FaceIt through a friend who was friends with Mark. And that seems to be a very common theme with people that we have on is they either went here or they know, you know, one of the Marks or they know Bill or something. And everyone seems to know everyone and it all kind of funnels in that direction. And I think that does highlight how important it is to have connections with people who are, like, you know, we all have friends that we see relatively frequently and, you know, we know about them, but we would never say something like that. We'd never be like, hey, you know, I know this guy who runs this thing for men with mental health issues. And I think everyone needs at least one of those sorts of friends. Because if you didn't have that friend, where would you be now? Might not be great.
Right. Bill's mentioned this on a podcast before when we were doing the bike ride. We did an event in Milwaukee and we were chatting with this guy and he's like, every guy needs a guy.
Yeah.
And the guy he meant was the guy that you can say, my hair is on fire, holy shit, help. And a lot of guys don't have a guy.
No.
I don't think a lot of women have a woman either. I think it's a gift when you have that person.
Yep.
So
and it's often, almost always, someone that you met young, like teens, college, maybe just out of college. It's very rare to have a friend like that you met later on in life, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But it seems to be just the way that humans are built.
So can I add one thing
you
to
may
that?
add two things.
So a couple of years ago now, my sister-in-law took her own life. And her and I were very similar. We shared a lot in common. We used to talk often, and when we did, we had great conversations. And one thing that struck me, first, I wasn't surprised when I heard the news. That was the first thought. The second thought was, she didn't have what I have.
Yeah.
She didn't have the guy or the lady.
Right, whatever.
And for me, I have not only 10 guys, I have 200 guys.
Yeah.
That's not something I ever thought I would have. And I know that I have at least one, if not 10, if not hundreds of guys I can now go to when I start to feel the inklings of that spiral. My sister-in-law didn't have that. I know if she did, who knows?
Right.
But for me, I know if I didn't have that, I'd still feel alone and or worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. How about you, Mark?
Gosh, I'm just filled with a lot of emotion. I mean, we're recording this a week out from Christmas, which always, of course, stores everything up in us. But, you know, I think what I really am aware of week in and week out when we do this is how grateful I am for people's willingness to come and talk. And how that willingness, Andy M. Miller, to be open. Mark Wick said this, that somebody will benefit. Somebodies, many people will benefit. So I'm aware of that. I'm aware of the courage. I'm aware of how grateful I am for you, Mark Wick, for you, Andy. I wish Bill were here. I could tell him. I actually talked to him earlier today. I told him I was grateful for him. I'm just grateful that we get to do this, and we have a space to do this and a place to do this, and we're adding a tiny little bit of the ingredient to helping people be better and to feel better. So I know there's so much more to your story, Andy. Again, it's you just get to scratch the surface. I'm grateful for you. You really have rolled up your sleeves, literally and figuratively, to really help FaceIt, to be part of FaceIt, to encourage people. So I'm grateful for that. I did learn that I now need to fear Mark Wick on the tennis court, should that ever present itself.
It's translated into pickleball.
You have dodged me since this pickleball thing has come up. I have wanted to play you, meet you. Don't look at me like we've never played.
Let's do it.
All right. You're here, Andy. You heard it live. Andy M, Andy, B. No, I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for the whole thing. So, any final thoughts, Mark Wick?
No, just
you're good.
Have a happy holiday, everybody. Be kind to one another.
Yeah.
And look forward to the next time we can get together.
Yeah, Andy B.
Thank you, Andy.
Andy B, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that about sums it up. This isn't going to air until, let's see, I put one up on the 16th, so this will be just before New Year's,
just
actually.
Before the New Year.
Okay, still be kind.
Still be kind.
Yep.
Even if it's 2025, still be kind.
Yes.
Still
we
the
can
season.
take that into 26.
Amen.
If you mind.
Amen. All right, well, thank you guys. Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you very much,
you.
and we'll look forward to sitting down with our next episode. So we'll chat with you soon.
Bye.
You've been listening to What's the Point podcast, where you are the point. It's real men telling real stories, from depression to anxiety. No doctors or professionals, just real men talking about real issues. For more, visit the FaceIt Foundation's website at www.faceitfoundation.org. To ask questions for future episodes, send us an email at wtpointpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at What's the Point Podcast, and find us on Twitter at WTPointPodcast. Till next time, this is What's the Point Podcast. And remember, you are the point.